February 1st, 2017. All praise to the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Today being February the 1st just seems like any other day, but it really is known as Serpent Day. A lot of us might be a little bit surprised because there are other names that we might hear tossed around and other things being done on this day, but we don't realize that it's actually Serpent Day, and I came across this information. And I just want to point it out here that, for the so-called blacks and Afro-Asian peoples and descendants of those who suffered in the slave trade, that we really need to keep the laws of the Most High. And you can begin with the Sabbath, which is the way I started. I started with the Sabbath, right, and continued to learn more. The thing about us being in captivity is that we don't realize who we are. Jeremiah 17 verse 4 says that our identity would be lost, right? Thou thyself shall disconnect from thine identity, your heritage, right? The knowledge of who you are. And us being in captivity, since our identity has been lost, then all the different lands that we live in, we just automatically take on the identity of, wherever we live and the culture of wherever we live, right? The people around us and so on. And those lands actually take pleasure in just casting their different celebrations on us. But the Most High has special days that are called holy days in the scriptures that we are supposed to be keeping, right? And that helps to bring back our identity. If we look in Leviticus chapter 23, it's a long chapter, so I won't read all of it, but I'll just start out here with verse 1, 2, and maybe 3. And it says, And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings. So, as you go on reading, it will tell you other feasts, other special days or holy days that Israel is supposed to keep. And, we have to really take back what's written in the scriptures, right? Because it really is ours. Doesn't matter who else is claiming it. We've got to take it back and begin to know our identity again. Jeremiah 6:16, tells us that we should be seeking and looking and searching, right, to find the old path. And then we're going to find out exactly who we are. My daughter brought home a little card, like a bookmarker, talking about February 1st, Winter Walk Day. They're saying park your car and walk today. And there's going to be like coffee available and so on. Before this, I didn't really care about looking into these things, but I thought, let me look and see what this winter day is about. I got to looking into it some more, and then I realized that there are different celebrations that happen on February 1st. And that's because they're masking, like the video I did on Labor Day, they're masking what February 1st is really celebrating. It's really Serpent Day, because in the ancient world, people worshipped a lot of snakes, right? And that's coming from the whole pagan worship and forbidden worship, right? That the Most High has spoken against so many times in the scriptures through his prophets, right? So what these nations have done is, in modern times, they've clouded over what the real thing is and give you some other name for it. So, it's a little unsuspecting, right? Of course, you still can find the real name for the day if you do some searching. And so today, really, February 1st is really Serpent Day. Now, I want to show you here that by looking up, I found some stuff on this day, nationaldaycalendar.com. It actually says National Serpent Day. Now, note it doesn't say Winter Walk Day or any of the other titles they give this day, right? I believe China has their New Year's celebration on this day as well. But it says here, across religions and cultures, the serpent has been used as a symbol of evil, medicine, fertility, and much more. Now it says a symbol of evil, and they're worshipping this serpent. So you look at modern people today, just in their nice suits and shiny shoes in houses of parliament and, in Fortune 500 companies, might I say, and they're going on like this, but really they're participating in this serpent day. And you gotta wonder too, who is it that's actually in all these governments from all these lands that's actually putting in these different days that you see that are linked to ancient pagan worship that the Most High spoke against so much. There are people who actually put these days in and make these different governments roll this out to the people in their countries. But it's been worshipped as a symbol of evil, and yet it is being worshipped in modern times. So what you have is modern countries are really worshipping all these different symbols of evil, right? And they say they're fighting against war and poverty and everything evil, when the reality is that when you look at their practices, they really do worship evil. Recognizing serpents and snakes alike, February 1st observes National Serpent Day. Around the world, there are over 3,000 species of snakes. Okay, now let me look here at another website. I think I got two more websites. daysoftheyear.com. Serpent Day is a day of reflection and coming to grips with our fears. Now, as I mentioned, when I read from Leviticus chapter 23 listing the different special days or holy days, it doesn't say anything about a serpent day that you should come together and worship a serpent, or that you should celebrate this thing in any way. So just keep that in mind. Let's read on. It's dedicated to pondering our reactions to the prime material behind that expensive high-fashion snakeskin handbag. Its unique slithering form has long been associated with wisdom and power, used for either good or evil. Either way, it is apparent that the serpent deserves a day dedicated to its position in culture over the last few thousand years. Now, why does the serpent deserve that? It's saying here the serpent deserves that because people who celebrate this are coming from donkey years ago in ancient times who did not believe that they should obey the instructions of the Creator. They went and they worshipped other things and animals and so on, right? And the forces of nature and so on. And in this case, they're worshipping the snake. So now you know what this thing is really about, right? And then they make fun of it here, saying, in all honesty, where would Adam and Eve be without the third party, meaning the snake? The history of Serpent Day. Serpents have been both feared and revered at times simultaneously in many different periods of human history. All right? And they talk about it, the snake being worshipped in it was a Mesoamerican deity, and they were worshipping it there, right? And this same snake worship was going on in Mesoamerica between 600 to 900 AD. It was also called the plume serpent. It played a dominant role as a god, model, myth, historical figure, and symbol in Aztec culture. Hindu religions in Asia worship the serpent or Naga and consider it to be a nature spirit. So when you look at all these websites, you're finding that there's something more to Serpent Day than it just being a winter walk day or something else like that, right? We live in places in our captivity where so many different pagan worship days for their deities are masked by using other names, and it's hidden from us, right? So many. But the law of the Most High is what we should be focusing and keeping on. That's going to restore our identity and bring us back the goodness, right, of the Most High. Let's read from Psalm 1 chapter 19 quickly. Psalm 1 chapter 19 verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Alright, so that's what we need to be focusing on. February 1st is not what they told you, right? It's Serpent Day, and that's just another clever way by hiding it under all these different gimmick names, right? So there you go. Whatever you're finding that's being advertised about February 1st as some kind of special national day or something, no, It's Serpent Day is coming from, is masking ancient pagan worship of the snake. Serpent Day, February 1st.